Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome to another episode here at alliseeisW, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. I got my strategy Bitcoin hat on. Today's video will be covering the latest updates with Bitcoin. We'll do a deep dive analysis of strategy MSTR stock, what the latest updates are, as well as playing an epic video clip at the end with Saylor speaking, so you don't want to miss it. I'll also be sharing, technical analysis, price prediction of Bitcoin. How high can the price really go, and what does that mean for MSTR share price? We'll go through all of those details, but first off, if you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by. I would really appreciate hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's get started, guys. Let's first off take a look at a post from Plan B. So he's saying that Bitcoin relative strength index is almost 75 orange dot. In this bull market, we will see a several months with RSI of 80 plus red dots like 2021, 2017, 2013, and 2011, in his opinion. So we typically have a Bitcoin halving event once every 4 years where the mining difficulty gets much higher because the rewards blocks to mine gets cut in half. What does that mean? The cost to mine goes up. It gets more difficult to actually get rewarded with Bitcoin. Like the block actually gets cut in half. What does that mean? Bitcoin price tends to go up when that happens because you have the law of supply and demand kicking in. What we see right now with relative strength, with the last historical halving events, we see red dots kicking in. That represents the RSI, where it's in an overbought situation. Like what Plan B is saying right now, we haven't even got there yet. Where are the red dots? The red dots aren't there yet. So orange dots will start getting darker, and then we'll see FOMO kick in, where everyone will start buying Bitcoin at like, 180, 200,000, and then we'll start seeing red dots. At that point, monthly RSI will be somewhere around 80, but we're not even at that level yet. Here's an interesting post that the White House official confirms Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill will be signed into law by September. So that's going to be very bullish. I mean, with a pro crypto president, we had the Genius Bill Act signed. This really sets the framework for the future. We've had deregulation. We're trying to not have like central bank control over crypto. The entire ecosystem is changing now where digital currency is the future, and the fiat is just an avenue to like move money around, and that's through hedging with Bitcoin and even crypto related stocks. Bitcoin therapist posts is nothing stops this train. So we got Saylor holding on to a Bitcoin. They don't know that I hodl of the supply. We had 1% hodl, 2% hodl. Now we're getting to 3% hodl. We got the Mag 7 not embracing Bitcoin, not even buying any Bitcoin, putting it on their treasury, while Saylor is taking a big move, buying up all the Bitcoin that he gets. He's getting up to one Nakamoto. It's coming up very soon. The Bitcoin therapist posts is, I mean, give him a follow. I mean, he puts out really great content on Bitcoin strategy, even Metaplanet. His price targets for 2025 year end is 180,000 Bitcoin. Okay, that's reasonable. He's forecasting strategy at $1,000, $25 with MTPLF Metaplanet. So very reasonable numbers. I think Bitcoin, at 180,000 is around that nice sweet spot. We've even heard Tom Lee at 200,000, 250,000. So seems very possible for that to happen. Michael Saylor posts today, it all began with a quarter billion in Bitcoin. I mean, when you think about it, it all began back in September 2020 when we had COVID, where Saylor was just quietly stacking Bitcoin during this time. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 110,000. He was buying at, 10,000 Bitcoin, even 8,000 Bitcoin. Doesn't matter the price. He continues to dollar cost average throughout like the last 5 years. So he technically created the, game theory. He was the first one, you know, at the poker table just buying up Bitcoin. And now you got more people at the poker table. You got like, people from, Cantor Fitzgerald. Now we got, 21 Capital. We have Larry Fink, financial institution buying, and we have like Kathy Wood also buying. So all of the big time whales are coming together, doing what Saylor has been doing back in 2020. Strategy posts about Strike IPO. So now they've hit $2.5 billion, setting the record as the largest US IPO of 2025. So Strike is another lever similar to Strike, Stripe, Stride in that it provides dividend payouts to investors and there's a shorter term duration. So people like that. It allows for strategy to acquire more money to buy Bitcoin without having to dilute the actual equity like strategy, which is why you have the different levers. But you see Strike doing so well. I mean, Stride at 1 million, but you got Strike at the very top. It continues to just dominate. And why is that the case? Well, you got a top line CEO, Michael Saylor, who people trust and respect. They like the compelling story that he's telling right now, along with Trump advocating for Bitcoin and crypto. What does this mean? It's only fuel added to strategy where they will continue to grow to get from like where they are right now, over 607,000 Bitcoin. Tomorrow, they're going to announce another purchase. Every Monday, weekly, they buy Bitcoin. I'd love to hear what your perspective is. Put it in the comments. So let's look at, strategy acquisition. So, nothing really stops this train as to Saylor, buying Bitcoin. He will continue to acquire Bitcoin, doesn't matter the price. He understands that in 21 years, Bitcoin will be at $21 million dollars with a average growth rate of like 30%. That's huge. I mean, there's no stock ETF that could really do that. I mean, strategy just continues to grow in value. And when Bitcoin goes up 30% in value, think about how fast strategy will grow. It's more volatile and it has more vitality with the share price going up. We've seen the stock price go up, which will cover the technicals, but put it in the comments, like the last three purchases, June 30th, 4,900, July 14th, 4,200, July 21st, 6,000 Bitcoin. Are we going to get a double digit, Bitcoin purchase similar to like June 16, May 12th? We usually get even March, we had a 22,000 purchase. So it's been a long time since we'd had like a over 10,000 Bitcoin purchase. So we may very well have strategy catch up to Larry Fink from BlackRock. So we will see. Let's take a look at Bitcoin technical analysis. So we're looking at it, from a zoomed in perspective. What happened, on Thursday last week, we had Bitcoin started taking a slight dip. This is when a whale sold, over 80,000 Bitcoins that he's been holding on to for like, 14 years at the total cost of like 54,000. He sold it for profits. I mean, he made like $9 billion dollars holding on, but that was through Galaxy Exchange, one of a hot ticker, GLXY. I would also highly recommend, monitoring. But, look what happened. Bitcoin price just went back up. There's just so much bullish market sentiment. People like Bitcoin. It's unlocking a whole new era. New people like the concept of Bitcoin, and it's not going away. I mean, we got the government advocating for Bitcoin, and for those reasons, Bitcoin is just going to continue to appreciate. Macro levels have changed. The exchanges are getting depleted, the OTC market's getting depleted. What does that mean? Bitcoin price will just keep going up. There's a global adoption. We look at like, public companies all around the world. The companies are just trying very fast to, you know, acquire as much Bitcoin as they can possibly get because they understand it's only going up from here. I do suspect as we, head into the market opening starting tomorrow, volume will start ticking up. Earnings report will be coming out as well, and it's going to be fireworks, especially for companies like Strategy. I mean, when you think about it, MSTR having, over 600,000 Bitcoin from Q1 to Q2, just think about it. Bitcoin went up like close to like 30,000 in price. For every Bitcoin on the balance sheet, you multiply, like, let's say 600,000 times 30,000. Do the math. I mean, that's basically your revenue. All of that, margin increase just with the change with the accounting rules with FASB. Now you reflect fair value market price of, Bitcoin, given that it's considered a security now. So all of that's changed thanks to Trump for doing that. That favors, companies like Strategy along with other Bitcoin stock companies that are holding on to Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But from a technical standpoint, key thing that we want to, look at is, during February, March, there's a lot of volatility. It went from 550 down to like 220. We were hovering below the Ichimoku cloud, and we continue to see price get challenged. The bears were in favor, gravitational pull down, especially anytime when price is, hovering below the Ichimoku cloud. But good news, Bitcoin started breaking out. April timeframe, we broke out of that Ichimoku cloud. It's been sunshine and rainbows hovering above the cloud, slowly consolidated, climbing up. In fact, even in the month of July, we got up to like mid, 400s. Now we got to pull back down, 400, but I think it's only going to be up from here. We may take, more of a turbulence, but I really do think there's now support at this level. Just think about it, support at 400. Previously, we were trying to get to that new resistance level, but as we scale out, this is where I forecast that we're going to be heading, year in at a minimum. We'll be getting to that $1,000 range as we get to like Q4 of 2025, which is expanded out here before we enter the 2026 year. But what does this tell us? We're just priming, we're consolidating. It's just fine wine. It's ready to break out. We're going to have a nice squeeze up as Bitcoin starts surging. It's been consolidating. Strategy is going to run up as well. But with earnings report announcing solid financial data, this is really going to attract a lot more investors. People don't really understand the FASB accounting change with, Bitcoin considered a commodity. That changes the game. And the fact that strategy is going to get added to the S&P 500, that will just change the perspective. People will indirectly have some investment in Bitcoin because strategy will be part of the, S&P 500.
I know wealthy people, they own 16 estates on the Eastern Shore and they live in two of them. Like, why do they buy them? They land banking. What does that mean? Well, the guy makes a lot of money every year and he doesn't want to put it in a savings account. So he goes and he just buys a cool piece of property and he buys another one. Well, okay, it sounds good, but here's the problem. The guy buys up the beautiful pieces of property and so you can't afford it.
Right.
And if the rich guy wasn't buying up all the beautiful houses, they would cost half as much. And you could live in a beautiful house. So here's what happens. Some rich dude has 27 houses that are empty. You don't have a beautiful house. You have a family. Your kids, your dog could use the beautiful house. The rich dude doesn't even want the house. He just wants a long-term capital preservation strategy, right? And so that's a perverse incentive and a distorted economy. That's broken. That's broken money. That's because the rich dude is using an estate on the Eastern Shore of Maryland as a piggy bank. Huh? But the estate doesn't get renovated. The house is falling down. There's a beautiful pool on the water, and you could have a great family picnic there every Sunday, but it's not going to happen because the rich dude has 16 other houses. He just bought that house because he thought it was a good investment. Okay, that's wrong.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed another episode at All I See Is W. Put it in the comments what you thought about this video update, what you enjoyed about the strategy content, what your predictions is with upcoming Q2 earnings. How excited are you? What's your prediction with the share price for strategy and Bitcoin? How high can it go in the year 2025? Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you on the next one, and hopefully I can catch you on the live stream later today at around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks, guys.